Yeah, yeah.
Wedding.
Right. So how are you dealing with coronavirus there in Holland?
Well, it's getting a little bit less. The lockdown is getting more. How do you say it? They're opening up more stores and everything now.
Yeah,
So, and we never were as much closed as in Spain or Italy.
right.
Of course, we had this what they called an intelligent lockdown, which needed to appeal to our own common sense by they were not going to check up on us if we were outside. We didn't need any official papers or anything, but when people would be too many people together, you would get a fine of 400 euros
Right.
each adult person. And but until that time, you were actually you're free to do whatever you wanted to, but you were not allowed to go with two people to the supermarket and stores and things like that. But on the other hand, if you did know what, nobody was checking you. So that's what they call the intelligent lockdown, appealing to our own common sense. So for us, it was actually not that hard. And by having this lockdown, it went down the cases that got sick, the people that got sick, the amount went down very rapidly. So yeah, of course we were like for a lockdown for 5, 6 weeks, but it was still an okay lockdown compared to Spain.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Here in some parts of Spain, like Madrid or Barcelona, is madness.
Yeah,
Is you need
yeah,
to stay, yeah,
terrible. Yeah,
right?
no,
So,
but yeah,
okay. So the news these days is your new single, "Entertain You." It seems like
yeah,
people really love it. So you mentioned in
yeah,
other interviews that well, people can think about what the song is about. Maybe it has a
yeah.
different interpretation. So for you, what is it about?
Well, for me, it's about if I had to say for general, it's about respect and actually the lack of respect for and in our society for each other and certain tolerance that we miss a lot of times for each other. And that's something that aggravates me, that makes me angry when I read certain stories about, also specifically for because there's always a certain group of people that always get picked on and being treated with not the normal respect that any other would get. And then I'm talking about majority groups if they're having, if they're gay or maybe they're
Yeah.
transgender or anything like that, but also people who are maybe from a different color of skin, different background in religion. There's not enough tolerance, to my opinion, and I find it very difficult to see that. And I think that everybody should have more respect for each other and leave each other alone. And because we're not, people who are different they already know that they're different. It's already difficult for them in daily life to adjust and to, without other people always pointing out how different they are. And it's not for our entertainment to ridicule them, to feel good about ourselves. And that's the
Mm.
thing that I'm angry about most when that happens. So it's and do something with my frustration because I feel so much for these people and because I think everybody has been in their lifetime once or twice. It was in school or maybe during when you were working somewhere, an outsider or you felt an outsider. And if you are if you feel like this all the time, that must be so heavy. And I I want to do something about that. Because when I read, like for instance, there's this boy, no, a man who died like 1.5 weeks now from today, here in the Netherlands, and he was beat up so many times
Right.
because he was gay, and he got epileptic because of it. They hit him apparently, I guess, against his head or something, and when he was 16, he was now 30, and he was still having seizures from those attacks, and even after that, they attacked him still a lot of times, and the thing is that he died because of the seizure, not because something happened in his house, but it was because he was attacked so many times in the past that he got these
Gosh.
seizures. And they were so heavy that he died like 2 weeks ago from it. And when I read something like that, it makes me so sad. And I think everybody should feel sad for a person who has this kind of history of being attacked so many times. It's not how we should be, and I think we should keep on talking about how we treat people, and even if people are different, we should have, everybody is human, and we're all inside the same. So
Yeah.
that's what the song is about.
Good. And it's an issue that it's always on the news, but for example, in the States, especially now, is something that is very talked about because I don't know if you heard about a couple of days ago in Minneapolis, a policeman killed someone just for his race when he was arresting him. So it's something that is always on the news, but especially now, it's like
what also happened was also CNN was this woman that called the police in America, and I can't remember where it was exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And she called the police because she was walking her dog, and in a place where she was not allowed to let the dog set free, to walk around on its own.
Right.
And then and there was this man coming up to her, and she said, and he said, "Will you please keep your dog to the leash?" And then she called the police saying, "There's this man, and he's filming me," and he was filming her with his camera, like to see how she reacted to this. He's filming me, and he's an Afro-American guy, and he's aggressive to me. And so the police came eventually, and they were both gone at that point, and she apologized later on because he had filmed, of course, everything, but it also says, why does she need to say African American? Because already the police will handle this case maybe a little bit more aggressively if it would have been someone of white color. And this is again, it's the way it's unfair. Yeah, it makes it should make your blood boil. Even no matter what race you are, no human should be treated like this. And it should be. It's so unfair, and we're living in 2020 now, and things haven't changed enough.
Totally. And it surprised us this single entertained you because you released the album just a year ago, Resist, and we have new music now. But you also mentioned that there is more music coming up. So it's strange because I think that before Resist, you have some sort of writer's block, and there's the longest gap between two Temptations albums, between the last one and Resist. So what happened?
What happened? A lot of people are asking me. Well, the thing is, sometimes you just are stuck in. We've been in the band. Of course, we had the band for such a long time. My whole adult life is all I've done. And sometimes you need to take a break to really see, to really be sure that you're still on the right direction. And I didn't know musically which direction to go with Invitation before Resist. And that was not just for me, but everybody who was working on the new songs. And it's like, okay, we really don't know what the next level is going to be for us to go to work towards. And I had all these issues for myself, so I was blocked completely. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to take a break from Invitation at this moment. I need to have distance, and it helped me a lot to come back also with my Indigo project that I did. It taught me a lot about how to look at music again and discover so much bands that I didn't even know that I were there, and who inspired me to explore even more. And it helped me come back to Invitation also, and to think about, together with everyone else, to find a new way of, how we would like to sound. And the question was, if we would start a band now in at that time, but of course 2018, how would we like to be sounding as a band? And that's something that we've been asking ourselves every year. It's like, okay, if we would write a song now, how would we like to sound now? Which band, which music, what inspires us? And let's just figure out if we could transform Invitation, what it is and how it has been, towards this year, like, okay, to go along with all new kinds of inspiration, but also a lot of inspiration coming from daily life, like issues that are living in our world, like the things that are happening in our world now, because there's so much happening, so much to write about, so much inspiration.
Yeah.
I think that's where the inspiration comes from. Where in the past we were mostly talking about, lyrically about historical events mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about daily life, the things that are happening still. Because also maybe is that we in the past we were maybe a bit too modest about talking about reality, because we felt like, okay,
That was my next question, because you were always known for being a symphonic metal band, and symphonic metal bands weren't supposed to be talking about politics like you did on Resist. So
no, exactly.
yeah,
and I think that's something that felt also not good for us, because there's so much happening and you want to write about, and it feels more genuine in a way also if you're talking about something that really lies close to your heart. Of course, there were songs, of course, in the past also that were close to our heart, but this is like feels more urgent to talk about, and then the music will come by itself if you have that feeling, I think.
yeah, totally. And your popularity is quite good right now. I know you've been promoting this tour with Evanescence, which has been postponed for the pandemic issue. But I think it was already 150,000 tickets sold for that tour already before it was postponed. So, when you think about uh, early 2000s and Evanescence and Within Temptation, some people say in that time, oh, this is just a trend. But here we are, 20 years later, and you are still just selling out all the tickets. So, have you ever thought of your music or your popularity just being a trend?
No, well, that was something, of course, that we were afraid of, that people would think, okay, today's news is yesterday's, kitten litter, like they use it as old news. And we were always, of course, every band is afraid of that, like, okay, you hope that people will keep liking your music, of course.
Yeah.
But I think I think we've always had a very loyal following. We had a really loyal following of people that really like their music throughout the years. And although we were a band, although we were for a long time very much specifically a symphonic metal band, I think we've always tried to embrace change, because we want to reinvent ourselves with every album a little bit. We've always been on the search for, like, how can we reinvent ourselves without sounding outdated. We wanted to be, I think we wanted to matter also, because it doesn't feel good if you have the feeling like, okay, we are making 80s music or 90s music or 2000s, whenever music, but we wanted to sound, like I said, every time we wanted to actually be still mattering to the, for ourselves, we wanted to also inspire ourselves to be better than what we've done. And I've always said, like, I still hope that I will write my best song tomorrow, so and that's the drive, like, okay, challenging yourself to develop yourself, and also to challenge yourself to make a really awesome song that really makes you happy, because there's no better high than to write an amazing song for yourself, and hopefully other people will love it as well. But yeah, the chances of that are not always that big, but as long as you do it for yourself, you can continue writing and being together as a band for a long time.
Yeah, totally. Right now with no bands playing shows there, the thing is putting streaming shows, and mostly is shows the bands did before, like yours in Resurrection Fest here in Spain, which was streamed, and but some bands are already doing some streaming live shows, like from their houses, from their, I don't know, from some venues also. So, what do you think of the idea? Do you think that this is what do you think this is maybe a step in the future, like even when we can go back to concerts, bands will still do this?
Well, of course, it's always nice as a side thing, of course, but I must say that I'm already getting a little bit fed up of all the acoustic things at home because I just want to feel the adrenaline, of course. And of course, it's a really nice gesture of everyone to keep everybody entertained in a way and to help everybody through this lockdown period because that was really necessary. And we did some stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
But I must say that, we were never really an acoustic band. We were always a band that wanted to play full force with a lot of, playing things blowing up and we wanted to be explosive, and also try to find an interaction. And I find it very hard with just watching a screen of my telephone and seeing all the hearts, which is really lovely. But still, I miss so much the real interaction and the vibe and the sweat and the energy that's that's what we love as metalheads, I guess.
Right. Okay, one of the times I've been in Eindhoven, there in Holland, it was for a festival that the band Epica was putting there. Was the Epic Fest. It was actually a festival around the band, and they were inviting some friends to play with them, which was quite cool. In Flames do the same in Sweden with Anders, been collaborating on your last album, Resist. So have you ever imagined of Within Temptation putting a festival there in Holland? Do you like the idea?
Oh, it's a nice idea, but the thing is that, that's always an option, of course. But I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
And of course, what we did with the celebration years, like Black Symphony, was also a little bit like that. It was like more indoor, of course, like a big arena, and then having also a few friends, collaborating, that the ones that will be featured on our songs, ask them to come over and sing those and play these songs with us, of course, and all band members. So we did it in our own way, I guess. And but in a different way. It was not outdoors, of course. I'm not sure if they did it outdoors, but it was. But it's always, of course, there's all kinds of ways of putting together a festival or a show like we did, for instance. And but these things are always cool. I think it's always nice to do. Yes, it sounds like a good plan.
Great. So now that we're talking about the Twin Life, there's two questions I ask every musician who I interview, and it's regarding the early tours that they made with their bands. So go back to the first years of Within Temptation, or the first year of you playing music, and think about the worst place you have slept while on tour.
Well, we were mostly in well, we had the worst tour bus ever.
Yeah.
The first tour that we did was like, our tour bus looked like with only gaffer tape on the inside, and there was wind coming from all sides, and we didn't know where it came from, and we tried to put all these pillows in front of certain places in the hope that the draft would go away, because we were in the middle of winter touring through Europe. And that was our first tour with a label mate from the Netherlands, Orphanage and Totem. That was our first tour, and that was it was an old city bus they had turned around as a tour bus, but it was. Wow, that it even managed to get up a hill, that was really an achievement by itself already. So, that was probably the worst place, and it was also a very dirty bus. It was really, really old, and with a lot of, dust, and, it was not a very clean place either. So we kept, during the day, trying to keep the doors open so the air would go through, and it would get some little bit more fresh at the end of the evening, because ventilation wasn't something that was working very well as well. So I think if I had to say something like that, because we didn't have money to go to hotels,
right,
that tour will come up as number one, actually.